Alright, hello everybody. So, I'm gonna talk about two forms of justice. So, the following are, of course, this still has to do with my doctorate degree. So, the following are my continued notes from Beyond Vengeance, Beyond Duality by Sylvia Clute. So the rule of law does not solve conflict. I completely agree with that statement. There are two forms of justice. We are told that justice is found in proportional revenge, the old law of an eye for an eye. The other is aligned with the ancient teachings we often call the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. These conflicting moral codes reflect the two distinct forms of justice. So I'm going to begin by talking about what is unitive justice. Unitive justice is inclusiveness, healing, restoration, reconciliation, harmonious, equitable, and peaceful. Unitive justice involves the participation of all who are affected in assessing the harm done and forging both a remedy and preventive measures, thus avoiding the separation that the us versus them system creates. And this just doesn't also apply to like criminal justice or civil justice, but this also applies to like businesses and things of that nature. We cannot love others while we hate ourselves, and we cannot hate others while loving ourselves. Only unitive justice has the power to restore balance and harmony among the victim, offender, and community. Goals the punitive system does not address. Punitive justice is grounded in the belief of separation. We are fearful of those whom we see as separate from ourselves, and we believe our safety lies in controlling or defeating those whom we fear. Punitive justice fails to address how the infliction of further harm or the deprivation of liberty translates into taking responsibility, or how it rights the wrong it seeks to address, beyond getting even. Believing in separation gives rise to the notion of good versus evil. Punitive justice relies on a double moral standard tied to this divide that permits us to see the harm we cause as moral, because we see ourselves as good, while the harm done by our enemies is immoral because we have deemed them evil. The dual morality permits us to project blame for killing. When both sides view the other as evil, the killing becomes endless. We all claim self-righteous innocence. We fail to note that having two standards of morality, one for us and one for them, provides a flawed moral compass, even when the matters of simple justice are at stake. Justice should be the solution to discord, not the cause of more problems. Ancient Judaism had a concept of justice called hesed, or loving kindness. This is unitive justice. In the book of Hosea, God responds to the people, "For I desire hesed, not sacrifice." The loss of local autonomy began in the 12th and 13th centuries, when authorization or writs issued by the king became widely used to restrict the jurisdiction of the local authorities. The writs let the common law that was common to all of England, and justice become the domain of the king. In essence, when you broke the law or committed a crime, the victim became the king, or today, the victim is the state. This is why court documents are titled "The Commonwealth of Virginia versus John Doe." The name of the victim may be mentioned to be more specific, but the victim's needs and community's reconciliation have been rendered largely irrelevant. The king took control. Local communities lost their capacity to deal with conflict themselves. Because the system pits the state's burden of proving guilt against the accused's right to thwart such proof, the victim's role is reduced to that of a mere witness for the state. This means defense counsel must try to make the victim appear as untruthful as possible, caught in the middle of the attorney's battle to win and make their adversary lose. The victim often feels re-victimized. The voices of forgiveness and remorse that underpin punitive justice are silenced, making all of us, collectively and as a culture, victims of this punitive process. What do the court system rules really mean? The punitive justice model is forced to devise rules to guess at the truth and to inflict punishment, even when the truth is unknown. There is confusion between duality and polarity, and this causes us to misunderstand the nature of good and evil. We tend to think that good and evil are like night and day, but they are judgments. One person's judgment about who or what evil is may be widely disputed by others. Good versus evil is an example of duality, not polarity. When duality is activated, a pervasive belief in separation is inevitable, and fear is the overriding emotion. The perception of fear causes the body's cells, including brain cells, to shift into survival mode, focused only on the perceived threat. Everything but this narrow band of perception is blocked out. As the cells are locked in survival mode, they cannot grow or regenerate, making our persistent fear a slow march toward disease and death. Attack, mental, emotional, and physical, is a reaction to fear, and the modus operandi or operanda for dealing with the so-called enemy. The need to attack is not questioned, only whether to do it now or later. These attacks are considered moral because the enemy provokes them and is blamed for what we do. And this leads to thinking that harming others is a win, necessary to keep oneself from being harmed, which would be a loss. Thus, even killing others can be called a victory. In duality, individuals see themselves as better or lesser than others, resulting in a hierarchy that mirrors the layers of fear. There is no common source that unites everyone within this system. Only fear is shared by all, but this commonality produces no bonds because its sources are as numerous as those who experience it. The win-lose mindset keeps us from grasping the mind's potential for wholeness and harmony. Duality seems to be real because its fragmented construction restricts awareness to only that which conforms to its distorted view of reality. The left is very weak if one person caused them so much misery. In oneness, everything is understood to be unified, like a giant container for all that is, including the pain and misery of duality. Oneness is the path of peace for all who comprehend the organizing principle of oneness. Understand that to harm another is to harm themselves. If I hate another person, I will be harmed. But whether the person I hate is harmed by how I feel depends on whether that person joins in my projection and makes it their truth. Oneness understands that no one wins until everyone does. What appears to be different is more like a mirror reflecting one's own weaknesses. Equality implies inclusiveness that allows no exceptions. Equality cannot exist in duality, for the separation, hierarchies, and judgment of duality are intended to exclude. Everyone possesses free will, and everyone must choose to act as agents of creation or miscreation. Evidence of the all-encompassing nature of oneness is found in the fact that in every negative event lie the seeds of transformation and rebirth. Welcome to the rebirth. I will not accept Biden and the Democrats' party call for unity when they didn't accept mine. The peaceful transition of military power went smoothly in America, and no one really noticed. So how do you like my picture that I'm showing? You know, I call it the big fuck you. So now let's continue, and we're almost close to finishing it out. I wrote some notes down today that kind of finish this out, but we're going to continue on with oneness. Inscribed on the Egyptian temples are the words Nuk Pu Nuk, meaning I am that I am. I am is an announcement of the Absolute, before the existence of the material realm, before any extension into space, or before the bounds of time. The infinite and eternal. The organizing principle of oneness is a manifestation in our realm of this transcendent, unified oneness. All religions teach oneness, and duality's pattern of violence, answered by more violence, mirrors its image of God. Only in worshiping duality's God, constantly locked in a battle with evil, could we fashion a remedy for harm done that involves hurting others and then excuse our own harmful acts. Only in duality can there be war between my God and your God. Only in duality can there be war. The conflicting images of humankind can only be resolved by understanding that they reflect two mindsets, the underlying structures of oneness and duality. Eve is an ancient word for breath, or the living soul. Adam calls her Eve because she is the mother of all things, just as our thoughts are the cause of all that we manifest. Adam means earth, or physical being. A serpent tells Eve that the fruit of the forbidden tree will make them as gods, knowing good and evil. Eve did not understand what Eve did not understand was that to think both good and evil are true is to be deceived, to enter into separation or duality. Adam and Eve's story warns about the dangers of dividing the world into good versus evil, us versus them, man against woman, nation against nation. Such beliefs contradict oneness. The Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, but no reference was ever made to waking him up. The time is at hand for Adam and Eve to awaken. There is a God. You are all locked in your homes because you fear something you cannot see. Quantum physics suggests that beyond the physical phenomenon of the universe exists an infinite unified source of existence, a vast wholeness that contains all that is on every level. The new science of quantum physics is rapidly deconstructing the old reality of separation and fragmentation. The two characteristics essential to sustaining duality and justifying punitive justice. Oneness is taking its place as the new reality. The holographic theory of the universe is showing us that separation is an illusion. There is no divide. The well-being of every institution depends on the well-being of every individual that it touches and every function that it serves. The demands of the Industrial Revolution put pressure on the decentralized delivery of governmental services, forcing government organizations to change, all in the name of material reality. Our governmental system went from a loosely connected grid of small central governments with limited authority to an ever-growing centralized bureaucracy. Today, the purpose of government and education is to serve the needs of the bureaucratic structures and not, as the Founding Fathers had envisioned, as serving the needs and interests of all people. Democracy fell short of its hoped-for transformation as the industrial hierarchy replaced the monarchy, still leaving the interests of the people marginalized. It has been observed that when a particle is split and the two parts locate two different places in the universe. Okay, so when two atoms are split and they're like on two opposite ends. Okay, one half is here, one half is there. A change in the spin in one part results in an instantaneous change in the spin of the second part in an identical way, without time lapsing for information to travel from one part to the other. They operate within a greater whole that we do not yet understand. Movies you didn't know, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin produced, like Suicide Squad or The Accountant. Can you see the play? Can you see the illusion? Did you know that? Scientists have discovered that the quantum realm is holographic, meaning that each part, while appearing to be a separate event, is a microcosm of the whole. Everything is inextricably linked. Thus, quantum physics is disproving the theory that we live in separation, unconnected to others and unaffected by what happens to them. Instead, as you do to others, you literally do to yourself. There is no division between the observer and the observed, because the act of observing changes both the observer and the observed, making objective reality impossible to observe. Rather, both observer and observed are merging and interpenetrating aspects of the whole, of the one whole reality, which is indivisible and unanalyzable. Oneness can be real. Physicist Fred Alan Wolf: if you have fearful images, they tend to come into reality. Whatever you can imagine begins to appear as if we call it into existence. The universe says whatever you create. The universe says whatever you create as imaginary, so will it be. Why? Because at the core of the universe, at its most fundamental level, it is not solid stuff. It is not hard reality. It is capable of forming reality into whatever our images produce. All political and social systems are produced this way. They are all magnifications of this basic misunderstanding of this hidden aspect of reality. If people could comprehend the imaginable element in all matter, then what they envision would eventually come to pass. It may or may not come to pass at this instant, but it begins to manifest at the level of dreams. The next step in human evolution, 46 plus 2, are in the depths of human consciousness. As we learn to intentionally activate the principle of oneness, the older order of duality must go away before humanity becomes extinct. The new order of oneness must prevail. But in this must prevailing situation, I'm not talking about like forcing people to believe this way. No, everybody has a choice, and we can all choose to love one another. We can all accept that people have different realities, different perceptions, and different truths. And in order for our species to even just survive, we need to put, we need to come together in a strong way. We really need to see that this world is fake, that people are manipulating everything so that you believe what they want you to believe. But that is not where I stand. I stand on freedom of choice, freedom of consciousness, freedom for you to choose your own path in life without a forceful influence, and hopefully someday without fear. When duality is the path chosen at the national level, the scope of the harm done is magnified. Why? Duality uses fear to provoke action. For nearly 40 years, to get themselves elected, U.S. politicians have used the get tough, punitive approach to crime to convert complex problems into simple slogans that play on our fear of crime. And then we just lock people away because we don't really care what they have to say. We don't care about the life that they live in there or anything like that. We don't care about their change even, because when they come out, they have a hard enough time surviving anyways. They didn't tell us that their get tough on crime policies had little effect on the rate of violent crime. They are primarily locking up nonviolent offenders. 84% of the prison population are nonviolent. What do politicians continue to do? Well, use fear to get elected to pass more laws, adopt policies that take the punitive form of justice to greater and greater extremes. Alright, so that wraps it up for that. I'm going to be working on a poem because I want to post that sometime. I'm still caught up in reading. I'm on my last book to read, and then it seems like I have like, man, I should probably at least read somewhere between 20 to 500 like papers. So I still have a lot of reading to do, and then a lot of writing to do. My novel's coming along good. I believe it is, or at least Grammarly tells me it is, since that's the only kind of like human interaction that I guess I get from something non-physical when it comes to my writing, because Grammarly's like, man, that's very engaging. So, you know, and this deals with my doctorate, because my doctorate is understanding effective conflict resolution, or at least where are we at in the consciousness scale. Are we, I'm going to find out if we're still continuing to seek punitive punishment, or if we're heading up in a new direction in the way, one towards, trying to understand. Because that's kind of what a Delphi technique does, is I basically interview a group of experts, and through these at least 2 to 3 rounds of interviews, I find the commonality in everything, and and then from that commonality of all the answers that I get, it drives what is called a consensus. And that consensus is what I'm kind of looking for to see, where humanity is at in terms of, do they still want more fear and punishment and authority to punish others and make people pay, because, you know, you hurt me, so now you gotta pay. Or if we're growing out of our barbaric ways and actually seeing the light, you know, no longer fallen, but, you know, I don't think we're at oneness, but what I do believe is that we're at this point in time where the opposites, what I'm talking about with the whole Carl Jung thing, the opposites is like suspended. Okay, and this is the moment of like transformation. It's kind of like the moment I've been waiting for, and I don't see this as being like a process that's going to be complete in a few months, because there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of everything right now. Emotions are high. America's been turned into a prison because everybody's locked down and they're afraid to go outside. So this is the moment where something should happen, and I'm hoping that we don't transform what I would call like the still asleep side, because this is the age of Aquarius. We really need to wake up and embrace, you know, everything that humanity can do together. But the sleepness is, you know, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a left or right thing. It's not political. It's just holding on to that duality, and I think people are finally starting to see that the shit is fake. And now that they're starting to see that the shit is fake, that it's all just a show, that you're a character in the play. Welcome to the novel of reality. We can finally, hopefully, say that what we've done up to this point has sucked ass, and there has to be something better. There needs to be something better, because we can all still go back to being together, one, whole, and show that Hassad, that love and kindness. But this isn't something that, you know, I can make you choose or anything like that. I mean, it just depends if you want more death and more hate and more of everything, or if you're finally ready to see what I call wholeness. But like I said, that choice is up to you. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I participate, but that's just to try to awaken people, hold the opposite until the other side comes through, kind of a thing. And it's getting there, almost there. But right now, I'm kind of going back to peace because I feel like we're almost there, and I can't wait for that day. But until then, I just want, one of the things I want you to think about is, who will be the great uniter? Who is the great uniter? He's coming. There is somebody who is coming, and it will be a president that will unite us. And necessarily doesn't have to be a president, but apparently this person is supposed to be really, really good. So time will tell. But the old system of duality is going to fall. Unfortunately, there might be some more chaos in even the worst. But when it's all said and done, I hope it's a lesson learned to go beyond duality, and let's not separate ourselves again. Alright, well, man, how long have I been on here? I feel like I've been in like a trance, just kind of like talking. Almost 30 minutes. Alright, well, I hope I didn't bore you. If you have any questions, respond, or, want to give me a hey, what's up? I'm easygoing, friendly to talk to. I'm not fuck you to everybody, I'm just, just my attitude is kind of fuck it, I'm gonna be me, I don't plan on changing that. So, anyways, you guys have a good one, and just know somewhere I'm holding up 2 middle fingers. Peace out. Bye.